2005's In Your Honor was met with mixed reviews, with many people preferring one of the album's discs over the other one. When touring the album, the band separated the two styles, doing one rock tour and another tour of the acoustic songs. However, after receiving the suggestion of blending the two shows together, Dave Grohl decided to create a follow-up album that blended both discs of the previous album together. Inspired by classic rock artists such as Tom Petty and Steely Dan, as well as pop rock artists such as The Zombies and R.E.M., their follow-up album took the band into new, unventured sounds that were more mellow and melodic than most of the band's discography at that time. The band hired the Colour and the Shape producer Gil Norton due to his knack of pushing bands to their limits to create music that is different and as perfect as possible. The final product was Echoes, Silence, Patience and Grace, an album which still splits people to this day. Although it has a lot of loyal fans who consider it to be among the band's best albums, there are a lot of people who also consider it to be one of the weaker albums in their discography. What do I think? Well, I think this album is a strong contender for possibly my favourite Foo Fighters album. I think the album shows the band at their absolute peak of songwriting. The band show that when they're pushed, they can make really fantastic classic rock-inspired songs. If only that was shown on their two most recent albums. The album is grandiose, but at times raw and tender. Gil Norton's production work is honestly some of his best. The album is just a perfectly constructed piece of rock. The album starts with easily one of the best opening songs on any of the band's albums to date. The Pretender is one of the best songs the band have ever done, and easily one of their most iconic. The song starts off with this beautiful, clean, arpeggiated riff, but then quickly blasts into the band's signature hard rock style, full of Dave's aggressive, scratchy vocals, heavily distorted guitars, and explosive drums. The song plays around with the quiet and loud dynamic pretty well. Even the so-called quiet parts of the song aren't actually that quiet. It's like the volume was at 8 during the verses and then boosted up to 11 during the choruses. The song is incredibly tense and full of an underlying feeling of frustration and anger. This is easily one of the band's more melodic, heavier songs, which makes it stand out even stronger. Listening to this track is super euphoric because you can just completely lose yourself and sing along without ever having to scream like metalcore style vocals or anything. The song is about feeling lied to and being screwed over by a higher power. There is a real political undercurrent flowing throughout the song, which makes it just as powerful today as it was 11 years ago. This blended in with the fantastically catchy verses, choruses and bridge, memorable guitarists and blistering intensity makes it stand out as one of the band's best songs. It doesn't do anything unique or interesting, it's just a pretty straightforward, really great hard rock song. It then goes into Let It Die, which is a song that perfectly reflects the two different sides of their previous album coming together as one. It starts off as this somber yet beautiful acoustic song which feels from the get-go slightly tense. Then halfway through it just completely explodes into this fast and loud blast of frustration. Dave describes the song as personal fights between people and those people breaking apart, and that the fights are meaningless overall. There is a clear inspiration from his feud with Courtney Love after the death of Kurt Cobain. The lyrics are really fantastic and the melodies to the track are beautiful. The chorus to the song is simple but incredibly catchy. And honestly, every time I hear the song kick in later, it sends chills down my spine. Dave's vocals are just incredible. Later on when he's screaming the words, it sounds like his screams have meaning and aren't just for the sake of it. He's hurt, angry and upset, and he's expressing all of this by screaming the words at the top of his voice. Anyone who has ever fought with a friend and felt betrayed can listen to the song and completely feel everything that Dave is singing about. The song shows Dave playing the blame game, making references to Kurt's downfall being linked to his relationship with Courtney. He is incredibly bitter and heartbroken, and that emotion is shown all throughout the song. The explosive section in the second half of the song is so exciting and face-melting. Let It Die is an exciting, beautiful and angry song that is easily one of the highlights of the album. Erase Replace is definitely one of the more straightforward tracks on the album and one of its heavier moments. The song can be a little bit repetitive, but is one that I quite enjoy. It's a song about essentially ignoring what you don't want to hear and hearing what you want to hear. The song has an almost call and response style to the vocal delivery and is lyrically very simple. Nothing about the song is too extravagant to the point where the argument can definitely be made that it's just a filler song, but I personally find it really fun and exciting. The riffs are all really cool as well, with the opening riff being one of my favourite riffs on the album. That riff is definitely one of the main standout points on this song. As much as I do enjoy it, I can't say it's the most memorable song, it's just kind of a run-of-the-mill song for them. Which doesn't work quite as well as Let It Die because it lacks the experimentation of that song and the poetic lyricism as well. However, there is a breakdown towards the end where everything gets really soft, which is absolutely fantastic. Honestly, it makes the song completely worthwhile. I really like this song, but I cannot deny it's one of the weakest on the album, and I completely understand why people kind of forget about it compared to the other songs on it. Then we get to Long Road to Ruin, and man, when it comes to the band's big hits, this has to be one of the absolute best. It's a crunchy, fast and infectious power pop song with a lot of clear inspiration from Tom Petty and Bruce Springsteen. This is one of the songs on this album that takes the band's catchy and melodic style and mixes it perfectly with the classic rock influence without ever getting too derivative. This song is very glitzy and clean, but it's also really epic, exciting, and just a flat out fun song. The melodies in the track will get stuck in your head instantly. The hook of this thing is just mind-blowing, and that guitar solo is possibly one of, if not the best guitar solo in any Foo Fighters song in my opinion. Dave's vocals are great in this song, and the chorus is full of these really fantastic harmonies that all blend together to beef up the chorus and make it one of the hugest hooks on the album. Similar to The Pretender, this is a song all about taking a stand against the authorities due to feeling dissatisfied. There are some really great, powerful lyrics on the song, and the second verse especially has a real unifying feel to it. It feels like a call to arms for all like-minded people to group up and take on the man. This is seriously a fantastic song. If you only listen to one song from this album, let it be this one. Come Alive follows the same structure as Let It Die. It starts off as this really pretty, subtle acoustic song and then explodes into a gigantic rock song. But I think this song works just a little bit better. The melodies to this song, especially in the verse, are so fantastic. I just adore them. Not to mention the production on the song is great as well, full of really beautiful strings that make the song a much larger and more epic song. This song is one of the few songs on this album where the band's early grunge sound kind of shows its head a little bit. But this is definitely more of the slow Black Hole Sun sort of grunge rather than the grunge from the first couple of Foo's albums. Dave sings about becoming a father on this track and the effect that it's had on his view of the world. His lyrics and vocals are incredibly genuine and heartwarming. Not to mention the guitarists all throughout are really memorable and well performed. This song is definitely one of the best deep cuts from this album and easily one of the most underrated songs they've ever done. Then we have the tender acoustic song, Stranger Things Have Happened. This song is another more straightforward song and is a completely acoustic one as well. It's two acoustic guitars and vocals and literally nothing else except for a metronome underneath. No extravagant production, no explosive breakdown. It's very simple, but it's also a very catchy and pretty song with a fantastic main riff and really good lyrics as well. The song is about accepting isolation and starting to feel comfortable with it. I think Dave's songwriting on this song is really beautiful. There is also a great guitar solo on the track, which is another one of the band's best solos in my opinion. There's not much else to say about this song. It's a very simple acoustic song, but also a very good one. Cheer Up Boys is a really bouncy poppy rock song that sounds like Dave singing a 80s REM song. It's a punchy, fast and melodic track, but honestly one that doesn't give me a lot to say about it. Like, it's nothing standout or anything, it's just a fun rock song. Nothing groundbreaking or different at all. I really like the riffs and the chorus is incredibly catchy, but that's about all I have to say about it. The following song, Summer's End, is probably the only time on this album where I feel like a song is completely filler. It's a sweet little song that blends elements of southern rock with some more Soundgarden-esque minor melodies, and lyrically it's a cute song about being parted lovers deciding to meet again and wondering how they'll feel when they see each other again. I really like Dave's imagery describing the beauty of the girl and its parallel with the summer weather, and the song has a really great guitar solo as well. But this is a case where although the pieces all fit together well, the picture isn't really anything memorable and something that pales in comparison to the album's other songs. It's followed up by the instrumental song Ballad of the Beaconsfield Miners, a song dedicated to two miners in Australia who became trapped in a gold mine and requested an iPod full of the band's songs songs be thrown down to them. The song is recorded as a guitar duet between Dave and Khaki King, and although it's only a 2.5-minute acoustic instrumental song, it is somehow one of my favourites on the album. The guitars are played superbly, and although some may find the main riff to be a little bit repetitive, I absolutely love it. It's a song that is incredibly simple yet effective. Speaking of simple yet effective, the next song is Statues, a very late Beatles sounding piano-based ballad about two people in love and how when they die their love will live on through their headstones. It's a very beautiful and romantic song with a crisp guitar line, a really great bass line which gives me strong John Deacon vibes, and vocals from Dave that are tender and heartwarming. We then get to the song But Honestly, which is easily my favourite track on the album. It has a similar progression to New Way Home off Colour in the Shape, how it kind of starts off quiet and then explodes into this huge euphoric blast of distortion and energy. It's a song about looking back on a relationship at the darker parts of it and how it's made the relationship and people inside it grow. Lyrically, the song is really fantastic and sung impeccably by Dave, who seems to really be pushing the song from the top of his vocal range. Taylor's backing vocals in the chorus really add to the weight of the song also, and the explosion of sound towards the end is easily one of the most exciting punches in the gut the band have ever given us. The album then comes to a bittersweet close with the piano ballad Home, a heart-wrenching song about Dave longing to be in a place where he feels comfortable and not have to pretend who he is. He laments to those who he's lost throughout his life and those who he's gained as well. It's an incredibly beautiful look at life which brings possibly the band's most mature album to date to a fantastic close. A lot of people are still very critical towards this album, but personally I think it's a perfect blend of what this band do best. They've tried to recreate the formula of blending their 90s hard rock / post-grunge sound with a more classic American rock sound, and as you'll find out in the next video, that didn't work anywhere near as well as it did here. But the band were just on a creative high here. Dave's lyrics are all fantastic and full of beautiful imagery of reminiscing upon a life of ups and downs. Chris's guitar work is drenched in incredible riffs and huge soaring and memorable solos. Nate's bass work punches through the album in a way that it's rarely done since, and Taylor's drum work is as astounding as ever. Gil Norton does a fantastic job of capturing the band's lightning into this bottle and covering up all the damage that is normally left lingering around on their albums. Even the bonus tracks on the UK and Japanese versions of this album are great. This is a perfect representation of who the band are, and it shows them at the absolute highest they've ever gotten. Echoes won the band their 3rd Best Rock Album Grammy and took them on one of the biggest tours of their entire career, including their first headlining shows at Wembley Stadium. They started writing new songs while on this tour and shortly announced afterwards that they would be taking a hiatus from touring. In this time, they released a greatest hits album which featured 2 new songs, Word Forward and Wheels, 2 songs that are both really great, with the latter being one of my favourite songs by the band. Within the next couple years, the band members all went off and did their own separate things. Nate rejoined Sunny Day Real Estate, Taylor's second band, Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders, released their second album, Chris Shiflett started a country band called Chris Shiflett and the Dead Peasants, and Dave started Them Crooked Vultures with Josh Homme and John Paul Jones, which by the way is one of the best things Dave has ever been a part of, and I am desperately waiting for them to get back together and make another album. Then in late 2010, the band got back together, hired Butch Vig and headed to Dave's garage to create an entirely analog album. That album became Wasting Light. Wasting Light was a true return for the band, heading back into the grunge-tinged hard rock of the band's early albums. Also back in the band was guitarist Pat Smear, who had been a touring guitarist since 2006, but not a full-fledged member since his departure after The Colour and the Shape. The album was released alongside the fantastic Back and Forth documentary, and the album ended up feeling like a celebration of the band's past. The album also saw collaborations from Husker Du frontman Bob Mould, as well as ex-Nirvana bassist Chris Novoselic. Although the band's previous albums received decent reviews, this album saw the most acclaim out of anything they had done since There Is Nothing Left to Lose over 12 years prior. This album is much more back to basics, stripping away all the bombastic classic rock influences away and just kind of being a lean, mean, hard rock machine. And I think it works for the most part. There are definitely songs that I like more than others and things that I'm not too keen on throughout the album, but it's far from terrible. The album starts off with Bridge Burning, another absolutely astounding opener. This song is a fierce, explosive and relentless track which slashes its way into your head like a samurai sword. It has a massive riff, pounding drums, and Dave's signature screaming. It's an aggressive, in-your-face song that at the same time manages to drench itself in catchy melodies and a hook that sticks out as one of the most memorable on the album. However, the track's biggest issue is also one of the biggest issues with the album as a whole, and that's that its lyrics are a little bit generic. Like, they're not the worst I've ever heard, but they kind of seem to be full of these well-known phrases for the sake of it without ever really expanding on them or justifying their usage. Luckily, this song isn't one of the worst offenders of this on the album, and it actually doesn't suffer that badly. It's easily one of the highlights of the album. It's then followed by Rope, which is so goddamn great. This song has this incredibly weird rhythmic pattern inspired by Rush and blends it together with these high octane, heavily distorted guitars which are as crushing and in your face as they are melodic. Dave's vocals are contrasted perfectly by these incredible backing vocals which repeat most of what he says but an octave down. Apart from towards the end of the chorus where Taylor sings these really great, almost Queen-like counter melodies. Although the chorus is kind of basic and repetitive, the verses are so poetic and well written. It's kind of obvious that this was a song that had work done on it for a long time because the final product is one of the most well crafted, intense and exciting songs on the album. And Chris's guitar solo is face melting, one of the best solos he's ever done. It's then followed by Dim Rosemary, which is easily my least favourite on the album. I do love the almost television-esque counter guitar lines in the verse, and Taylor's drums, especially at the beginning, are fantastic. But the rest of the song is so repetitive and forgettable. The way Dave constantly repeats the lines/phrases he sings makes it almost seem like he couldn't be bothered to write anything else and just felt like that'd do. Bob Mould has some good backing vocals on the song, but I also don't feel like he adds a lot to the song at all except layering a nice little baritone vocal line underneath Dave's higher line. But the song doesn't really add anything special to this album. It really could have just been taken off. White Limo, however, is an absolute banger of a track. The track is very reminiscent of songs like Weenie Beanie from the first album and is an extremely fast, blistering song which blends together the band's love of heavy metal with their hardcore punk roots. It has this incredibly biting guitar riff which leads into an incredible solo. Dave's vocals are heavily distorted to the point where you can't really hear what he's saying, but I feel like it makes the experience more exciting to listen to, and the song is easily the most visceral and exciting song on the album. It's followed up by Arlandria, which is a straightforward poppy alt-rock song. It has a pretty memorable main riff, a catchy chorus and really bright and crunchy guitars. However, I honestly can't say that this song does anything completely new or unique at all. What it does well, but there's nothing that really is standout and exciting on this track, and this is a theme that starts to repeat itself over basically the rest of the album. I do like the guitarist and the chorus of the song and how they differentiate themselves and play some really cool sounding things that beef out the track and turn it into this huge arena-ready sing-along. However, I cannot say I hear three guitars here at all. In fact, that's another theme that repeats itself across this album. They don't really make the most of having three different guitar players here with massively different styles. You basically just have Dave and Pat playing rhythm guitars while Chris does his lead thing. This is a problem that luckily isn't there on every track and was actually kind of rectified over the next couple albums. But a large portion of this album almost sounds like they just brought Pat in at the last second and asked him to just repeat the chords that Dave was playing. The song These Days suffers from this issue also. In a lot of ways, These Days is a very similar song to Arlandria. It's a simple, catchy alt-rock radio song. These Days is definitely a better song than Arlandria, but I'd be lying if I said that this song was anything special or unique. Dave's lyrics on this thing are for the most part pretty damn good, except for when you get to the pre-chorus and the bridge, which are both incredibly repetitive. What makes this song stand out so much is that huge epic chorus and the fantastic main riff of the song, which is honestly one of my favourite riffs on the album. After this track we get two more songs which essentially follow this exact formula but without doing anything really noteworthy. Back and Forth has a catchy chorus with a great chord progression, but the instrumentation is pretty simplistic and the lyrics/melodies of the verses are hardly enough to make it stand out. After this we get A Matter of Time, which is almost the exact same song. The opening riff is cool, but the song just kind of doesn't really know what to do after that. Dave's vocals are great, but the song is just so damn repetitive that nothing really manages to save it. The next song, Mr. Misery, is an example of doing this same formula but in a way that works slightly better simply because the melodies and lyrics are actually pretty unique and memorable. The riff is far from standout, but it's definitely a pretty damn good one, and I adore the chorus of this thing. This is a song that I always completely forget exists, but whenever it comes on, it completely floors me because it's so fun to listen to. This is one of the few songs on the album as well where I think that all three guitarists get their own place to shine and beat the song up for the most explosive and expansive song possible. The penultimate track on this album is I Should Have Known, which is, in my opinion, the best song on the album. This is the only slow ballad on the album, and it's also somehow one of the most exciting songs on the whole thing. I love the slightly crunchy guitar riff, the beautiful string sections that add this bright characteristic to the track, and Dave's vocals that sound tortured and full of pain. It keeps building up to this incredibly energetic blast of emotion that just melts your entire body. Chris Novoselic has a bass solo in the song which sounds unbelievably cool. The song is apparently about Kurt Cobain's suicide and Dave's feeling towards it, and it feels like one of the most painful songs that Dave has ever written. It's an emotional blast of passion and energy. Dave's vocals are so gritty and imperfect that he almost sounds like Kurt in how he delivers his vocals, especially later on in the song where he's screaming the chorus. It's as close to perfect as a song gets on this album. The album closes with Walk, a really uplifting song which basically reflects on the band, says we're not done, and then opens the door to the future. Instrumentally, it's about as plain as a Foo Fighters single can get. The riffs are very catchy, although far from anything special, and there's nothing groundbreaking on the track at all. But goddamn, is it a fun, exciting song that kind of encapsulates everything I loved about the band's early music. It's a celebration of who they were and still are. I think it brings the album to a perfect close because the album serves in many ways as proof that the band not only has a lot of life in them, but they can still get bigger and better than ever before. At least that's what we thought when this album came out. They definitely proved that very, very wrong over the next couple things. I'll make it no secret, although I do really enjoy this album, I do think it's a little bit overrated and really isn't that big late career marvel that everyone seems to think it is. There are songs on there that are some of the best they've ever done, but there's also a hell of a lot of generic run-of-the-mill songs. It's cool to see Pat back in the band, but there are very few points where I feel like they used having a third guitarist to their full advantage. But the album sounds great, has a lot of solid bangers, and honestly, if it was the last thing they ever did, it would have been a pretty good place to finish off with. In fact, in a lot of ways, I kind of consider this to be the last true Foo Fighters album because the next two things that came out are not really worthy of that title in the slightest. Thanks for watching my Echoes, Patience, Silence and Grace and Wasting Light reviews. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them and they were kind of worth the wait. I hope you guys enjoyed this shorter, more straightforward format, which I'm going to carry on doing with the last review, which hopefully will be out in the next couple weeks. I know I've said multiple times before that these reviews are coming and they'll be out soon, but this one, I promise, it's gonna be out very, very soon. I'm literally gonna go start work on it as soon as this one is finished. If you haven't watched the other Foo Fighters reviews I've done, I've reviewed every single album up to this point, so please go check out those ones, and hopefully the Sonic Highways and Concrete and Gold reviews will be out very, very shortly. I promise it will be out at least by May. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.